Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. I'm Glazer of the Snap Judgments podcast. It's late Saturday night. I know it's Monday for you as this releases, but I just finished watching the 220 plus player Marvel Snap Battle Arena Open, which is a qualifier for the Snap Fan Championship. I casted part of the show with Teebs and Lambie, and there were many great people and many great players that participated. While talking with Lambie, and again, later on tonight, I'll be recording with Lambie for the Snap Judgments podcast. That episode should be released tomorrow if you want to check it out. We took a look at some of the best decks, all of the powerful cards that are shaping them. We're going to look at the top three from that tournament, which I think have a real argument for the three best decks in the game. Before we get there, though, let's take a quick break and take a look at the giveaway. All right. We've been advertising this giveaway all week. There's one more week to enter, but there's one big change. The change in the giveaway is there's going to be a brand new tweet going up as this episode goes live. With that tweet, you're going to do exactly the same thing as you were for the last one, but this tweet operates as a second entry into the contest for the giveaway. Why do this? Well, after about a week, the Twitter algorithm stops promoting the tweet that has the giveaway in it. So in order for more people to have a chance to enter, there is a second tweet. But I don't want to leave out the people that have supported us thus far. So as to not be unfair, this will be a second entry for those of you who already joined. What do you do to get involved in this giveaway? You subscribe to this YouTube. You follow, like, and sub the tweet in the description. You reply with a content creator you'd like to see on our podcast. And just a quick note for those of you interested. Bootman has been on the cast 4 times. We had Cam Best on 2 weeks ago. Safety Blade on last week. This week will be Lambie. And next week will be Educated Colin. You can still request one of those people, but please know that they either have been or will be in the future on the show. By doing this, you'll be entered to win one of 5 season passes, and we also have grand prize. No one else does this. Our grand prize is a season pass, but also every Token Tuesday for the month of June. It's a great deal. All you have to do is subscribe and check out what I like to hope is really great content that'll help you hit infinite snap. What we do here is we help you stay ahead of the curve, stay ahead of the big creators. Make sure you're ready for what's coming in. All right, this is the third place deck. This is Combat's Patriot list. Combat is a Marvel Snap creator here on YouTube. I will throw Combat's information in the description to this video. I'll also put all the Marvel Snap Battle Arena info in the description of this video, both the Discord where you can find daily tournaments and the VOD for the tournament that took place this past Saturday. Okay. Here's how this deck came to be. Moyen is one of the best players in the history of the game. He farms tournaments for this game for money. He is a former Hearthstone Grandmaster, phenomenal player. Moyen started playing Patriot a couple months back with Abomination as a way to, and Leech, Abomination Leech version that everyone has probably seen by now, as a way to farm these tournaments. Time passes, and Iron Lad comes out. Cam Best, recent guest on our podcast, is a meta shaper. Cam Best decided that as soon as Iron Lad came out, he was going to build a list that had Iron Lad in Patriot. Iron Lad can copy many important cards in the deck and is thus absolutely insanely powerful. Takes the power level to another spot. Now, it's worth knowing that this is not an entirely original idea. Although Cam Best is the one who popularized it thanks to his massive reach. Elite X Hasa also came up with the idea at the same time. So it's worth noting that this is a very, very, very powerful, but also very visible card. However, it still shakes up the meta. This deck is immediately a tournament winner. But soon Kitty comes out. And Kitty can put more power on the board than this. Last weekend, as Kitty has started to take over the meta, Lambie, another Hearthstone Grandmaster, our guest on the podcast releasing tomorrow, the godfather of all things Thanos in this game. I'm going to keep shouting out Hasa, though. Hasa's the person who convinced Lambie Thanos was good. Lambie says, let's add Wave. I can cheat. I can play more greedy cards if I add Wave and answer Kitty Pryde at the same time. It's going to be great. Okay. Enchantress is all over them. Enchantress is in every deck, and this deck is great if you pretend Enchantress doesn't exist. But it does. So this week, Second Dinner gives us a nudge by bumping Invisible Woman up 1 power. So Moyen, back to Moyen, the originator of Patriot being popular in tournaments, says, hey, what if we just add Invisible Woman? That adds a bunch of really neat combos to the deck. No one's immediately sold, but Combat, minutes before the tournament, after streaming for hours, decides, this deck has Cam Best, Lambie, and Moyen's fingerprints on it. One of the two. It's 100% worth playing, and he does to third place. This deck lost twice all tournament, both times to the winning deck of the tournament. How does this deck play? First, let's take a look at it. Most of the cards are exceedingly obvious. There's the Patriot package, and then Patriot bumps various cards. This deck's strange cards are Invisible Woman and Wave. The Invisible Woman playline. After Invisible Woman, you can play a card on top of her that the opponent will not. The opponent has to respect that that card might Patriot. No matter what that card is, unless a Patriot reveals, the opponent has no choice but to assume it's Patriot. That Patriot that is now then protected from Enchantress. You can also then play an Iron Lad on top of that Invisible Woman. One of the fears of Iron Lad in this deck is that one of the deck's most powerful cards, Ultron, is a bad combo early in the game. Well, Iron Lad on Invisible Woman takes care of that problem. Now, sometimes you're not going to have Invisible. The other ideal playline is on turn 3, unless you're playing Kitty Pryde, you play Wave. As you play Wave on Kitty Pryde, As you play Wave, what you get to do is you get to play an early Onslaught. You get to play an early Doom, an early Ultron, ideally on Invisible Woman, not just to the air. An early Iron Man that's protected. Getting one of these powerful cards out early lets you take advantage of playing multiples of them. If you can go Onslaught on turn 4, into Patriot or Blue Marvel on 5, into Ultron on 6, you fundamentally won most games of Marvel Snap. Wasp is an extra benefit there. Sinister and Debris are extra ways to go wide, especially for games where you play Doom and not Ultron, but that's the basic gist of this deck. Protect your stuff with Invisible Woman, hide your power, claim your wins, claim your cubes. Combat played this brilliantly. I strongly urge you to check out his channel and the VOD in order to see just how expertly he was able to pilot this deck. It is one of the strongest things you can do. And I thought, when I saw it, this would be the best deck in the meta. But I was wrong. One of the decks everyone thought would be the strongest is High Evolutionary. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't think Afflict is as good as everyone assumes. That or we're building it wrong for now. I'm aware that in the Creator Clash tournament, an Afflict-based build was one of the more powerful builds and was part of one of the 2 winning decks. However, that deck in this tournament ran up against stiffer counters and competition. It was expected, and while 2 versions of that deck made the top 8, they were summarily taken out by these other decks. This deck takes advantage of High Evolutionary in a couple of keys. First, Hulk fundamentally offers you a second input. In Lockjaw decks, you miss a lot of turns, which means Hulk is often 16, 18, 28 power. The other way is Wasp. Getting fundamentally -2 power into the opponent whenever you drop Wasp into Lockjaw is amazing. How else does this pay off? Well, on the last turn of the game, let's say you've got Thor out, along with Mjolnir and Hen, Wasp and Odin. You can, in one lane, drop Wasp, Mjolnir, and Odin. Now, that one lane, Wasp is now -4 power, +1 power. That's 5, right? That is 13 power in that lane. You're also adding Mjolnir's power to Thor twice, adding 12 power. So that is a 25 power last turn from that combination of cards. Odin also obviously has synergies with Jubilee and Doom in this deck. Lockjaw cheats out massively powered cards as often as possible. Ideally, you're throwing things like High Evolutionary or Wasp or Mjolnir into there, but honestly, you could even throw a Doom in there. If your hand is a little cluttered, you'll be fine. Dracula is excellent, but be careful with Dracula. Be wary of whether you have Jubilee or other extra cards in hand, and also be wary with your Lockjaw of trying to play too many cards on the last turn with. But this deck by Jungcat was second place and is one of the strongest things you could be doing right now. Again, I think the going all in on Afflict is, at least while it's everywhere, trap, because there's just too much Luke Cage Enchantress nonsense flying around, because High Evolutionary is like 35%, 40% of some portions of the metagame right now. So I think that's a trap. However, losing 2-3 power on an Infinite is not that big a deal. You still have a 6-17. Playing bigger cards, Dracula doesn't even care. He just gets it right back when he discards stuff. Having all of these powerful cards just goes over the top. This deck was insanely strong and insanely consistent. However, it was still only the second place deck. The best deck, the deck that might be the best in the game, is the Snap Battle Arena Winners deck. It is Quinny's deck, Quinny Equinox, over on Twitter. I'm going to link their Twitter in the description. Quinny is the person who has been playing Invisible Woman even before the buff. They were hitting Infinite by basically playing Invisible Woman with Taskmaster into it, and then in another lane playing Orca, and then letting the Taskmaster copy the Orca on them. It's an amazingly inventive play that shows you the kind of person Quinny is, who can come up with such an excellent idea. This deck is built around, ultimately, Kitty Pryde. Kitty is incredible. I hesitate to say busted, but damn close. Kitty is one of the best cards in the game. Here's how this deck fundamentally. You get Kitty down as much as possible. You take advantage of that. You can get Kitty down as much as possible. You win. Kitty ends up 10 power for 1, who makes Angela like 2-8, 2-10, who makes Bishop 3-8, 3-10, and you win. On the last turn, you play a bunch of cards like Mysterio, Kitty, and Hit Monkey that lead to massive multi-20 power lanes. If you can play Beast on combos of cards like Kitty, Angela, and Hit Monkey, you get a ton of power. If you can Bast, you get a huge head start on all that power. The brilliance of this deck is that it has an answer to Wave. Fundamentally, Iron Man is dangerous, Enchantress blows you out. Invisible Woman with Iron Man gives you a way around. Your Angela and Bishop should be on the board if you're suspecting a wave for a decent chunk of power. You Iron Man on Invisible Woman. If you can manage to get some extra, if you have any extra power from earlier in the game there, you can then drop either the remaining power of Kitty, which is often very high, or America Chavez into that last lane. America Chavez onto a 10 power Angela it ends up being like 19-20 power, and then you've got an Iron Man to steal another lane that they can't be prepared for. This deck is absolutely insane. The only card I have any question about is Super Skrull, and Super Skrull wins games. Even against Patriot, you've got Mysterio clones and your Demon to get buffed by a Super Skrull. Stealing a Sarah is absolutely backbreaking. Stealing an opposing Iron Man, stealing an opposing Devil Dino, even the extra power of stealing a Darkhawk, where you're not going to get as much out of it, is very strong. Instead of playing Enchantress as a counter, this uses Super Scroll to be proactive. A lot of the times you're just stealing a Luke Cage. This is one of the reasons I think Luke Cage might be a trap in these Afflict strategies. You're too worried about what your opponent is doing and not worried enough about what you're doing. That's the fundamental power of the deck. It has an answer to everything, and that answer is fundamentally, I will put down more power and be proactive. This deck, in games that were very close, beat the Patriot list even through Wave. That's amazing power. That should not necessarily be possible, and that speaks to the power. One last note about Super Scroll before we finish up here. Be very careful against Galactus decks. You don't want to steal an Electro. Bad. And you don't want to steal Professor X's in Lockdown unless you're very careful about where that scroll is. Locking down 2 lanes is pretty bad for this deck with on turn 5 with that Super Scroll. Although with Iron Man, you can often just steal away victory. All right, that's the decks. Please make sure to subscribe. Please check out the Twitter to be part of the giveaway. If you've already entered, make sure you get your second entry. If this is your first time through, then get your first entry. Thank you so much for watching today's Snap Take. I'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take. And also, make sure you check out tomorrow's Snap Judgments podcast with the great Lambie. Peace.